Bingo! We've got a winner! This does a job! Welcome to 3D Accuracy, where I'll talk about 3D printing, 3D product design, and 3D injection and die-cast mold design. Well, this is the third video on renovating and remodeling the shop. And big change of plans. Yesterday in the video, I was trying to clean the paint off the floor when they spray painted, the walls in here. Of course, they didn't put tarps down on the ground. They just sprayed all over the place, and there's a lot of overspray on the floor. And because I'm putting down a peel and stick floor, I want to make sure that it adheres properly. I don't want to, 2 years from now be tearing it up and replacing it because it didn't work right, or, constantly trying to glue it down and have a big mess. So I want to get the floor clean so that I can get the tile to stick really, really well, and then shouldn't have that problem. So anyway, let me show you what happened yesterday. After I did the video trying to see if I could scrape the paint off with scrapers, and I had a wire brush and I did it. A lot of physical effort and very little progress. So what I did is I took my drill and a wire brush, and I decided, okay, let's give this a try and see how it worked. And I had a little bit better results, but it was still a little labor intensive. Oh, and by the way, I like this drill. Look at this. Look at this. What do you see right there? Made in the USA. I have had this drill since, I don't know, I was about 23, 24 years old. I think I bought that drill. So I've had it for a long time. It still works. I've never had any problems with it. I use it. I have cordless drills that were made, one of those places. You know where I'm talking about. I don't have to say it. And they're not in as good a shape as this one is, and I've had this for a long time. So anyway, back to the story. I tried the drill, and I got a little bit better results. Got more of the paint off, but it was still a little too labor intensive. So what I did then is I whipped out my DeWalt angle grinder, my small angle grinder. There's the model number for those who are interested. Not the most expensive one, but not the cheapest one. I don't buy expensive tools for things that I use, every once in a while. I just get good enough ones that I know will do the job, last me a little while, but I don't buy the cheap bottom garbage either, because I know I'm just gonna have problems with that stuff. But anyway, here it is, and what I have on there is a masonry concrete blade. Where is it? There's the little number right there. I got this a couple of years ago. I don't know if they still make this exact one or not, but it's made for concrete, masonry block, that kind of stuff. And it works really, really well. Look at how clean the floor is along this corner and this edge. I did this whole thing yesterday afternoon. Now, the only problem with it is, of course, the dust. It's what I really was trying to avoid, was grinding the floor. I knew I had that as a last option, but I was really looking to avoid it just because of the dust. I mean, I did this little corner over here to see how it would work. And just doing that, this little spot in here, I had dust on everything quickly. It was like just blown in the air. It was like, oh my God. So I covered the printers. I had some tarps, covered the machines, covered the toolbox. Not really a big help. I mean, it keeps some of the garbage off of there, but I'm going to have to go through and clean everything when I'm done. Now, the problem is I also have to do, you can see behind this wall, it's not too bad in some spots, But then I got other spots where you can see all that overspray, all that paint, and back behind this machine you can see all this. And I'm concerned that the peel and stick floor is not going to adhere to that. They recommend not putting it on painted concrete surfaces. So that's got to go. I want to get that out of there. But anyway, now the problem is my original plan was to do this back wall, you know, paint, clean this up, paint, fix the cement, paint everything, and then move all these items, you know, my printers and the workbench and the desks and all that stuff, over into this area, and then come back over here and paint this wall. And then, you know, go ahead and lay some of the floor in this area here, and then move things back on and do it section by section. But if I do that, the advantage is I can move equipment around a little bit at a time. But if I do that, then I've got to go back and grind over here again, get the floor off after I've just painted this wall. And what's going to happen is it's going to make a big mess out of it, and you know, it's going to be all dusty, and I don't want that. That's not going to work. So I'm going to have to do all the grinding first, then clean out the shop, and then do the painting. Now I also have to move all the stuff on the other wall over there along that side. I got to move everything because I got to grind down the side of that wall also, because when they painted, they oversprayed all over the floor. So anyway, that's the change of plans. What I got to do is move everything away from the walls so that I can get all the grinding done first before I do anything else. It just has to be done that way. And then what I want to do is sample wash some of these areas to see if I can get this crud off of here. It's just, you know, dirt and blah, blah, blah from over the years. And I want to get this cleaned up, and I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it with laundry detergent. My wife had a tray that she used to put these containers on and walk them out into the yard. Well, it got full of oil, and it was just gooey mess, you know, because it had hardened after the end of the season. And I tried to clean it, you know, in the kitchen with some dishwashing soap and tried. And it was like, oh my God, you got to be kidding. There's no way I'm going to spend 40 hours trying to clean this thing. I said, throw it away, buy another one. You know, so she said, well, let me try, let me see. Well, clever as she is, she took some laundry detergent and some hot water, and she had it clean in about 10 minutes. So I said, now, you know what that does? That gives me an idea. Let's try that out on the shop floor, because where the car's been parked, you know, over time it drips and blah, blah, blah. You get oil stains and mess on the floor. I want to try cleaning the floors with that and see how it works, wash them. And if I can get all this off of here easily enough doing that, then that's the route I'll go. But I may need to come back with the angle grinder in some spots and, you know, clean up a little areas if I can't get the crud off. So one step at a time. But the angle grinder did a really good job. I mean, besides having to be down on the floor on my hands and knees to do it, it's not a difficult job. All you do is, you know, you turn on the grinder, on the angle grinder, and then you just take that disc and you just very lightly touch the floor, and you have to keep moving it. You don't want to sit in a spot because it'll grind a groove right in the concrete quickly. And you just kind of make nice, light, quick passes back and forth, and it pulls all that crud, all that paint overspray. It just cleaned it. I was like, oh, this is exactly what I wanted, nice and clean. Now, of course, I got to wash this and vacuum it up and get all the residue off so the peel and stick floor will actually adhere, but really did a nice job. I was really, really pleased with that. So anyway, the goal for today, day 3, is to get all the stuff moved away from the walls. I'm going to start on this side with the 3D printers because I want to be able to keep the machines so that if I get a quick rush job from a customer, I can go ahead and I can fire them up and I can get parts made. I don't want to, get myself in a situation where I can't get the machines up and running if I need them fast. Because sometimes I'll get a call from somebody on a Thursday or Friday afternoon from a customer, and they need an emergency part 3D printed for some trade show that they got to go to in Las Vegas or Chicago or New York or something, and they need it by Monday morning. I'm like, okay, let's get it done. So I need to keep the machines accessible as much as possible. So that's, part of my goal is to get this end done first. So, I get it painted, get the floor done, and get all the machines set up, back up and going as quickly as possible. The other side over here, if it takes a couple of weeks longer, or, who cares? It doesn't matter that much. But I want to start in the middle of the room, which happens to be right here. And I think I mentioned yesterday, I did on my CAD software, I actually laid out the garage and laid out the pattern because I want to use a herringbone pattern. And that's a little more complicated than doing just, straight planks like a regular wood floor sort of a deal, because you don't have as much to trim. With the herringbone pattern, you have the back and forth, it's harder to judge how much material you're going to use square footage wise because you have a little bit more scrap. Because every time, the board runs, one runs this way, then the next one runs that way, then the next one runs this way, and the next one runs that way. And when you get up against the wall, you're not sure how much you're going to have to cut off of that plank. So consequently, it's difficult to judge how much scrap you have. But by laying it out in the computer, and when I get to that point, when I start laying the floor, I'll show you a video of that. Then I'll show you how I did that and determined I know exactly, basically, how many panels I need, how many planks. It's 6 inches wide by 36 inches long. I know exactly how many I need. I have enough where I make cuts. I can use the end pieces in other areas. So I'll have relatively low scrap, and because you have to buy it by the box, I think I'll have about 15 or 16, 17 extra planks, and I'll just put those aside so that over the years, if there's any damage or one gets gouged or something or stained, then I can just peel it out and put in another one and replace it. So you may be wondering, what happened to all the stuff that was in here? Where did I go? Well, I've just got things tucked away here, tucked away there. I just moved them out. What I need to do is get a storage shed out and back, and I'll be doing a video on that on my Great Garden Products YouTube channel, because that's outdoor garden yard stuff, and that's the type of video that I'll do there. But anyway, once I get a shed up out there, and it's complex. There's other things I need to do before I can get the shed up, so it's going to take a little time. But all these things that are in here, like the the lawnmower and the ladders and all the blah 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 blah, that's all going to be out of here eventually. So once the shed goes up, it'll only be the 3D printers, the workshop, and the vehicle, our van, and that's it. Everything else will be gone. But it'll come in time. Just takes a little while. Okay, so that's enough for now for the video. Once I get this all cleaned out, then I'll take another video. You don't need to watch me pushing equipment around and moving boxes and that kind of junk. I don't know if that would be terribly interesting if you'd want to see that. Okay. I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you're ever in need of 3D product design, 3D injection mold design, 3D die-cast mold design, or 3D printed prototypes or production parts, please feel free to contact me. You can find contact information in the video description. I look forward to hearing from you and to being of service to you. Thank you for watching. As always, I appreciate it. See you on 3D Accuracy's next video.